Yo! Welcome to Talking Wrestling with the KingR. I'm your host, the KingR. It's been a while since I've done a video like this, where I just sit around and give my thoughts about what's happening in the wrestling world. And I figured, looking at the calendar, we got about a month left, so why not just throw it out there, give my 2 cents on what's going on, especially since WWE just had Survivor Series and AEW just had Full Gear. And I mean, boy oh boy. I mean, I can't really criticize Full Gear. I did not have time or the access to watch Full Gear. But I will say I did watch most of the pre-show, because the whole buzz around was a Big Boom AJ and his son Big Justice versus QT Marshall, and I don't want to say call me old-fashioned, but it's like, who the hell is Big AJ Boom and Big Justice? Or who the hell is this Rizzler? That just shows you, I guess, how far out of the loop I am when it comes to these social media phenoms, I guess. But I would say within the last, since October, I mean, they were part of the Mets. They were part of the Mets hype in their playoff run. I know they were on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, but I could give two craps about him. I mean, the Tonight Show, don't get me started on how that has gone way of like dodo bird in my opinion, but yeah, I mean, what? They were or are or used to be from the Jersey area where Full Gear happened to be, and Big Boom used to be a professional wrestler. And I mean, I watched because there was somebody, I have no idea, who claims to be a wrestler having this match on the pre-show, so it's free access on their social media site. So I mean, you can see how he is and so forth. And I mean, like I said, what should I do first? When you do stuff like that, especially in wrestling, it's always so tricky, because at least you have someone who has had background training in the sport, but having them come in and put on, have a match against someone who is, qualified, who is a trainer, who can work with newbies or less, I don't, less experience, or it's ring rust, and that the match wasn't half bad. The result I did not care for. I wish they went a different route. But like I said, you bring somebody off the street and put them in the wrestling ring, and then if they win, well, it's like, look how easy it is. But yet, it's how it's done. I mean, of course, at some point the referee got distracted, and Big Justice comes in the ring, spears QT, AJ Boom, hit the boom bomb, and 1, 2, 3. I would have, now me personally, I would have had QT win, either with a small package, pulling the tights or something like that. But and then still have Big Justice Spear, QT, and Powerbomb. Even though that he lost, the crowd goes home happy. But that's just my opinion. I mean, obviously the crowd was into it, and then the Rizzler is the timekeeper. But like I said, I have not. I don't watch any of that stuff, or none of that stuff has popped up on my timeline, and it's just like how is these people go viral? But they have a marketing team, and what the Costco guys rating food from Costco. Whoop-de-doo. But I mean, everyone's got their shtick. And I mean, all you gotta do is get that foot in the door, and like I said, if you have the right marketing people, you can go viral. And, well, I did watch a few other matches on the pre-show, but I did not watch the main event or the main card. But just listening to reviews, reading what happened, for the most part, it sounded like most of the matches went longer than they should have, and most of the bad guys won. What a shocker. I mean, and just reading and listening to say how the Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher match, how that went and how that ended, where there was a brainbuster on the outside, there was tombstone pile driver not once but twice, and once on the ring steps, and then that didn't finish. Ospreay, a brainbuster on the top turnbuckle did, and hey, guess what? Will Ospreay, he's fine. He'll be wrestling on the following Dynamite in the Continental Classic. All over in the WWE, they're selling just a typical pile driver as the most dangerous move ever invented in professional wrestling. And it sucks when one company tries to emphasize the dangers of one move, while the other one, they do it 3-4 times in a single match, and then everything's fine. And that's part of the art of wrestling. That is part of the art, is making people believe certain moves are just more deadly than others. And that's what has lacked, it's a little lackluster, lost in the art, because I hear, like, mainly on the indie shows, where you only the niche audience sees, we do want to see these big moves, devastating finishers. But when they don't go to the finish, or everyone's kicking out of them, they're not, they lose their luster. Just take the good old DDT, Jake the Snake Roberts, who one day, I forget who has him in a headlock, and then all of a sudden slips and falls, and boom. Oh, there we go. We got a new finisher, new move, the DDT. No one got up from that. Now it's just a transition move. I mean, sure, some people still use a DDT as their finisher, or a form of double arm DDT. What's it called? I know you have the arm hammerlock DDT and some others, but is what it is. I think I'm getting a little sidetracked. But where should I go from there? I know, for the most part, I'm just gonna be rambling. Gonna be off topic, trying to stay focused on one thing or another. But like, let's get back to Full Gear for a second. You had, no, where do I want to go? Maybe just stick with AEW. AEW for a little bit before I tamper off the WWE and then one other thing. What now? We're entering year 5 of AEW. 5 years of AEW, technically, yeah, 2019. Yeah, it was in the spring of 2019, or January of 2019. They announced it. Their first pay-per-view was in Memorial Day weekend in Vegas, Double or Nothing, and then it debuted on TNT. Dynamite debuted in TNT in, was it September or October? I think it was October. Man, it's a surprise. 5 years flew by really fast, and I will say the pandemic didn't help, but gosh, so many blown opportunities. That's all I gotta say. I mean, you had a bunch of names from the indies, some big, some small, and now I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's 5 years. I mean, that's great. I'd love to see new promotions because for decades, ever since the end of the Monday Night War, you only really had WWE. Sure, you had TNA. Internationally, you still had New Japan and AAA, CMLL, All Japan, and smaller companies. This and that. I mean, Ring of Honor sprung up because of the closure of ECW. But now that AEW's been around for 5 years, it doesn't feel like they've really improved. But that's just my opinion. I'm sure the niche audience, they say, it's better than ever. We have all this new talent, and they're they're climbing the ladder, this and that. But I mean, you look at the main event for Full Gear. It was Jon Moxley, former WWE guy, who wanted to break away from the clause and restrictions of the WWE and go on his own and do his own thing. Defending the AEW Championship against Orange Cassidy, who to some extent just seems like a beatnik, doesn't care, seems like a loner. No, I don't know about a loner, if a loner's a good. He just has no care in the world, but yet it's like, oh, look at this guy. He just stands around with his hands in his pants and, does his comedic routine of kicking, lightly kicking people in the shin. And then all of a sudden, oh man, he turns into Popeye, and just rage, he's hulking up and stuff like that. But I'm not a big fan of the gimmick. I know there's plenty of people who are. It's like, oh man, this is great. This is awesome. Look at him. And I'm sure he can wrestle. He can go, but he chooses not to. And just like, what's the point? And then he gets beat up and bloodied, and Moxley wins, and then you have another big name for the company at the end of that show where he could be a stuntman if he wanted to, because he does his own stunts every single week. Darby Allin crashes his car into their pickup truck and he's bleeding. Of course, he's all fine because he wrestled the following Dynamite in the Continental Classic. And it's easy to bag on AEW, but there are some bright sides. Not sure where, but there are. But I mean, like I said, if you're a company or promotion, you're trying to gain fans, and ever since its launch to where it's now, what the ratings have dipped, and the storytelling is just not there. And I mean, I feel like some of the stories can be great. It's just how you tell them, you know. And right now, they're not telling any good. They're telling stories, but they're not that good. But as a wrestling fan, I still watch. I still watch just to see how things play out, and it's going to be very difficult for me just to turn off wrestling if I have no access to it. If and it's mainly if I don't have access to it, I can easily just lose interest and not really stay with. I mean, I used to watch TNA wrestling, Impact Wrestling. It was available on YouTube, for $1 a month. Didn't watch the pay-per-views, didn't order the pay-per-views, and just watched Impact and like, okay, I know what's going on here. Oh man, they're doing something with WWE. I know this guy, this and that, and now we want you to buy money, spend a little more money so you can access us on TNA Plus or whatever. It's like, no thanks. So I really don't know what's going on in TNA right now. Same thing with New Japan. Had access to watch that. Not sure what's going on anymore in there. But moving on. Speaking of New Japan and AEW, now AEW it's apparently that time of the year where last year they introduced the Continental Classic, a round robin tournament to determine the best wrestler. I mean, last year it was the Continental Champion, which was a triple crown champion between the Ring of Honor champion, the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong champion, and this new belt, the Continental Championship. And in the end, eventually, Eddie Kingston won. He won the tournament last year. So he had 3 belts. He was Ring of Honor, he was New Japan Strong champion, and he was the Continental champion. And slowly, over time, he lost all 3 belts. I forget who he lost the New Japan title to, or the Strong title to. I know I'm pretty sure he lost the Ring of Honor title to Claudio. Or he won it from Claudio. I forget who he lost to. And then I'm pretty sure he lost the Continental title to Okada, who's in the tournament this year. So I have no idea. Did he vacate the belt? And the winner of this year's tournament is crowned champion? Because and then they have a full year of whatever the rules are, defend the title and re-vacate it, which is stupid. If anything, you have the Continental Classic tournament, and group the Blue League and the Gold League winners face each other at World's End, I think, and they become the number 1 contender, and they take on the Continental Champion. They get and see if they win. And like I like the concept of these tournaments because there's a sports aspect to it. I mean, you see it like Olympics, or like the World Cup, FIFA. You have round robin play. you win your block, you move on to the knockout stage. Like right now, the NBA has now introduced this because the stupid commissioner like the soccer style, but that doesn't really work in American sports, team sports like that. But like I like the concept of the tournament, but they have so many other tournaments. The Owen Hart Foundation tournament, the the Continental Classic, and so forth. But I mean, like I said, I like the concept. WWE, they have King of the Ring. They never grasp it. I mean, New Japan, they have the G1 Climax. Right now, they have the World Tag League going on. I know they have the best of Super J's and Super J Tag Team World Classic or whatever. So, like I said before, I like the concept. And if done right, it can work. But you can easily put yourself in a pickle if, like, well, we want so and so to win, but they can't lose to A, B, C, or D. So, in the whole point system, 20-minute matches, I get follow the rules, no interference, no one at ringside, blah this, blah that. So, we'll see how that turns out. Like I'll say again, and I'll repeat myself. I like the concept. I really do. Because you could have factions pitting against each other. You could have new storylines built from there. But like I said, AEW is not good at telling stories, and their stories just suck right now. So I think that's enough of AEW talk. Let's flip the page to WWE. Because they just had Survivor Series, and for the third year in a row, yes, it's the third year now, for sure. War Games on the main stage. They brought War Games back for NXT umpteen years ago, and because Vince never liked it. I will say I don't care for their version of War Games. No roof on top every time someone comes in and enters the match. Oh, let's bring some weapons in. Doo, doo, doo. It's submit or surrender, or pinfall or submission. Oh no, submission was always there. Submit or surrender, but now pinfalls count. And I will say I do miss the traditional Survivor Series match of 5-on-5 elimination tag team or 4-on-4 elimination tag team. I will say I do miss that just a hair. And then also having 2 War Game matches, one for the ladies and one for the men. I have nothing against women having a War Games. I have nothing against men having War Games. But on the same night, same venue, that's another issue where you have, it was Survivor Series, War Games. Well, they're going to have War Games. Okay? How do we make it make sense? Where, like, I think the original War Games, they had the match, they just need an event. Instead of we have an event, we just need the match. So, and War Games, or Survivor Series War Games, was pretty good, outside the 2 War Game matches. And you had 3 singles matches? Not singles. I mean, well, you had the U.S. title. That changed hands, a little surprising. Shinsuke Nakamura, we haven't seen in how many months, shows back up, gets a match against LA Knight, wins the U.S. title. Good for him. Yay. I'm trying to remember. I think he had a U.S. title run before. But that's besides the point. Then you had the IC champion, Braun Breaker defends his title successfully against Ludwig Kaiser and Sheamus in a triple threat match. And then, oh yeah, the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther versus Damian Priest. No surprising, Gunther retains the title. He, like, I was a little upset when Braun Breaker lost title to Jay, and then he won it back because I felt like his first title run should have been a nice long title run. And I feel that now the same way with Gunther. Someone's trying to tell me that with John Cena coming back next year in his farewell tour for 2025, Cena's going to win the Rumble. He's going to beat Gunther at WrestleMania. It's like that's not happening. John Cena's not going to have another run at world title and break Flair's record. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And like I said, War Games, the Bloodline. That's the main storyline going right now, at least in North America professional wrestling. Roman Reigns loses the title at WrestleMania to Cody Rhodes. Rhodes finally completes the story, and now I think he's doing just fine. It's always a trouble once you hit your climax. Okay, now where do we go from here? On both sides. The Bloodline, I believe they're doing just fine. I do feel like they rushed it a little bit with the whole, rewind just a little bit. Jay left the group. Sammy got kicked out, however you want to put, because he defended his friend. But I'm already going back 2 years. But everything boiled over at WrestleMania. When Jay left and has to prove on his own. Now it's back in early April, end of March, and now here we are. 7 months later? Oh, we got the band back together. Jeez, that breakup really lasted long. But I felt like it should have been stretched out just a little bit longer. Roman went away. Solo took over. He brought in his guys. And they're the new Bloodline. He's the tribal chief. And it feels like it should have been, stretched out just a little bit longer. Maybe have that year gap. Where Roman, he comes back. And he tries, Jimmy's with him, and he's trying to mend his fences. And a year goes by, and have this match. A year later, Jay has single success. He's on his own now. He doesn't need to call him crawling back. Sammy's doing whatever. But they had to jam everything back together and just to get this match in. They still would have had this match one way or another. And Paul Heyman, and now you have CM Punk involved. So we'll see where this goes. Does the new Bloodline go after Bronson Reed because he didn't help? I mean, he didn't hurt. He just didn't help. So here I go rambling again. Maybe next time I'll just have a checklist. But like I said, we're just talking wrestling. We're just here chit-chatting, having a good old time. And then another thing that has happened recently, I heard it was in the works. WWE has now introduced 2 women's secondary belts: a women's U.S. Championship and a women's Intercontinental Championship. And it's like, really? Is it really that necessary? I feel like you don't have enough women to begin with. You add a tag team division, tag team belt that has to be shared from show to show. So Is that going to get split now? Are we going to get a separate Raw Women's Tag Team Champions and a SmackDown Tag Team Champions? Oh, is that what they might do with? Because I mean, Jade Cargill, she got hurt, and her tag team partner is Bianca. They're the tag team champions. I think that's. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself, but that'll be interesting. I hope not. I mean, I would have no issue. I'm not saying I really do have issues. I just feel like the women's roster is not big enough. I mean, NXT, they introduced a women's North American champion. It's like, whoop-de-doo. And now you have to split up that tier system. If they had the tier system, maybe. So, maybe it's just too many belts means nothing. Everyone gets a belt, this and that. I don't know. But, yeah, I don't know. I think that'll do. I know ESPN, they released an article a few weeks ago about their top 30 under 30, and controversial there and so forth. I saw that I didn't really look at the article, but I saw that Dominic Mysterio. It's like, really? He's number one? I guess. I mean, but I don't know. I mean, like I said, we enter the last month of the year. I might do another one of these in a few weeks, release something about my thoughts on 2024, and then, what to expect in 2025. And we'll see how things go. Just have a just come and talk and give my thoughts on stuff that has been, what's going to happen. I mean, like I said, I don't even know if WWE has a pay-per-view event, or I should say PLE event in December. I think it's just, well, they have to have something at the beginning of January, if anything, because the Royal Rumble is February 1st, which is Saturday. That's in Indianapolis. John Cena is going to be in it. And that's just another thing, like the men's and women's Royal Rumble. You have the one overshadows the other if they were separate nights or separate times of the year, or a month apart even. Maybe one won't overshadow the other, because like I think the first time around they had the women's Royal Rumble, that main evented the Royal Rumble. That was the last match. I would have to look and see if the women's Rumble has been the last match or has been after the men's since. So, but there's always lots to talk about. And maybe next time I can try to stay focused. So like I said, next time it'd be my thoughts on 2024. From January to December, what happened, what I can remember that happened, and so on and so forth. So, anyways, I appreciate anyone who tuned in, listened to me ramble, and hopefully see you around. Thanks for watching. Until next time, adios, muchachos.